right, so here we go. Math, lesson 17. So today we are actually looking at patterns. What kind of patterns do you see the same on a multiplication chart? So each of you guys already got a multiplication chart. I think Miss Kellogg and I think it was a yellow multiplication chart that we put in one of your pickup bags. So everybody has a multiplication chart. It looks kind of like this. This is my son's actually. So yours isn't this colorful, but you guys have, I think they're yellow multiplication charts. So this is a multiplication chart, right? And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be finding patterns in the multiplication chart. And so that's going to, actually it's kind of fun. So you guys are going to have, it's a really fun lesson. All right, so this is our objective. We will be able to identify, so we're going to find patterns in multiplication and division facts. So in multiplication and division facts using the multiplication table, okay? So we're going to find these really cool patterns throughout the multiplication table. Before we get started on that, let's do the application problem. And the application problem, if you would like to do it with me and write it down in your book, it is on page 101, 101. So you can pause the video and get your book out. All right, here we go. So here is, remember we're going to do our RDW, and we actually have not done an application problem in quite a while. So here we go, let's read it first. Henry's garden has 9 rows of squash plants. Oh, 9 rows. I am going to circle that because that is an important number. Each row has 8 squash plants. I'm going to circle that one. So they have 9 rows, and in each row are 8 squash. There's also 1 row with 8 watermelon plants. So there's also 1 row, 1 additional row, but this time it has watermelons. They want to know how many squash and watermelon plants does Henry have in all? So I think, so they're trying to find the total, right? They want to know how many do they have in all. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do, I think I might do an array for this because I think that I read it, now I want to draw it. I think I might do an array because I think that might be a better visualization for me. So I have 9, the first thing I'm going to do is what? Well, let's draw the squash, right? So we know we have 9 rows of 8. So I have 9 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Woo! And in each row is 8 squash. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to keep going. Takes quite a while to do this, huh? It's a lot of rows and a lot of squash. And one more. Okay, so far let's figure out how many squash we have. So we're gonna skip count by what? We're gonna skip count by 8, right? Because each row has 8. So let's do that. Are you guys ready? Here we go. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, and 72. Woo, that is a lot of squash. 72, I actually have squash in my garden, and I have a lot of squash too. And it definitely grows a lot. So 72 just in the squash. I'm gonna change my color because we still need to do what? We still need to do 1 row of 8 watermelon. Okay, so I'm gonna do it in blue. So just 1 row, and there's gonna be 8 of those. All right, and I'm kind of gonna separate it there. Here's this one, and then we have the squash here. Okay, so this one was what? What kind of multiple, and we only have 8 here, so I'm gonna put 8 down here. What kind of multiplication problem can I do for this one right here? I can do, well, the multiplication problem is what? 9 times how many squash did I have in each row? 8, right? And what was my total? 72. And then on the bottom here, what is my multiplication for my watermelon? Well, that is 1 times 8 equals 8. I had one row with 8 watermelon, and I have 8. So now we're going to have to, we need to find the total of all of it all together. What can we do to figure that out? Well, we can add these two together, right? We need to add these two together to figure out what the total is. So let's do 72 plus 8 equals, that's 10 and that's 8. So there is 80 watermelon and squash all together. So we drew our picture, and now we're going to write our answer. There are 80 watermelon and, melon and squash in all. Pretty cool. All right, let's get to the lesson now. Okay, so we are going to use, I already filled out my multiplication chart, and I did that because I wanted to save time. I didn't want to have to do this and have you guys wait while I was doing it. But if you guys remember, if you recall, on the multiplication chart, on the outside of your multiplication chart is your what? Those are called your factors, right? Inside the multiplication chart are the products of those factors. So if you had 4, the factor 4 and the factor 4 up here, 4 times 4 equals, and we would slide our fingers together until they meet, 16. Okay, if I had 6 times 8, so those two factors, and I slide my fingers together, it would be 48. Okay, so these are the factors, and inside are their products or their totals. Okay, we call them products in multiplication. So we need to, we're going to find some patterns in this multiplication chart. We're going to find what numbers are even and what numbers are odd. But before we do that, we need to go back. We need to think back when we learned about even numbers and odd numbers. And it's been a while since we've talked about it. So I found this. Talks about even numbers, even Evie. So that's a good way to think about it. Even Evie. And even Evie says, if you have an even number, it always makes a pair. So my kids last year probably remember this, that when we did our calendar, we would look at the number and we would see if it's even or odd. So if the day was October 10th, we would put our hands up and we would put our fingers together and see if each of our fingers had a pair. And so 10 is even, right? Because we have a pair for each finger. So an even number always has a pair. 2, does it have a pair? Yes, it does. It has 2 dots, right? 4, does it have a pair? Yes, it does. They each have partners, right? 6, same thing. 8, same thing. If you were to put 8 dots out, you would be able to have a pair for each of those dots. It would have a partner. And same thing with 10. So you'll never have an extra one. Its partner's always there. So there's never any extra dots, okay? You have 2 dots, they make a pair, okay? And if you have a really big number, like 152, what we do to figure out if it's even or if it's odd, you look at the ones place. You look at the last number. And if that number, so in this case, 152 in the ones place is at 2. Well, I can put 2 fingers up. I know that 2 fingers, makes a pair. So this number is even. So you always look at the last number. That is the trick to figuring out even and odd numbers. Remember that, okay? So an odd, oh, this is for adding. So we're gonna not look at this part, but everything else is exactly what we need to learn about, is that looking at the last number and knowing that even numbers always have pairs, okay? Now, odd numbers, this is Odd Todd, and Odd Todd says, if your number is truly odd, you'll have an extra one without a partner, or a pair to share in all the fun. So you will always have an extra partner, okay? There's always gonna be one without a partner, okay? One without a partner. So one, it doesn't have a partner, it's all by itself. So it's odd. 3, well, we have a pair here, but we have this odd finger out here. So it's odd because there's one that stands alone. Same thing with 5. It has a lonely dot out here. It stands alone, so it's odd. 7 and 9. It has an odd number out there, an odd dot. And the same thing goes for if you have a bigger number that you're trying to figure out if it's odd or even. So if we had 243, okay, we're gonna look at the ones place. The ones is a 3. We can say, okay, we have a pair here, but we don't have a pair here. So we know that this big number, 243, is an odd number. Okay, so those are some tricks that you can think about. So remember, even always has pairs, odds always has one extra one that's lonely. Okay, so let's go back to our multiplication chart. And what we're gonna do first is we are going to find all the even numbers, and I am going to color those in with orange today. So all of my even numbers. And then you're gonna see this pattern, which is really, really cool. You're gonna see a pattern with it. So my even numbers, okay, so 1 is 1 even. Nope, he doesn't have a partner, right? So I'm not gonna color him orange. How about 2? 2 does have a partner, so I'm gonna color my 2's in orange. Okay, how about 3? Nope, 3 has an odd one, right? There's an odd one out, so I'm not gonna color in my 3's. How about 4? Yes, 4 is even. So I am going to color it in. How about, we did, oh, and there's 4 right here. I almost forgot. Okay, how about, we did 4, let's do 5. How about 5? Nope, let's look at 5. 1 pair, oh, nope, there's a lonely one here, so we're not gonna color in the 5's. How about 6? Yes, 6 does, right? So 6 has a pair. So I'm gonna color in all of my 6's. Oh, I missed a 4 over here too. Any 4's I see? Any more 4's? Nope. 6. Here's a 6 here. Here's a 6 here. Here's a 6 here. Lots of 6's, huh? Yeah, there we go. And then we're also gonna be able to color in any numbers that end in 2 or 4 or 6. So any of those, because right now we know that those are even numbers, 2, 4, and 6, right? So any other numbers that end in 2, 4, or 6, I'm gonna color those in too. Because those are even numbers. There's another one that ends in 2, 12 ends in 2. There's a 6. And we did a 4 already. There's another 4. So lots of them, right? There's another 2, ends in 2. And 12. There's another 24, ends in a 4, right? Bigger number. 6, here's another 2. Oh my goodness, so many. I'm gonna keep going. Here's a 4. Here's a 6. Here's another 2. Here's a 4. Here's a 6. Here's another 4. 6. So many. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to look at 7. Well, is 7 an even or an odd number? I'm going to look. I'm going to put my fingers together. Nope, I have an odd finger out here, so I know that 7 is odd. So I'm not going to color any numbers that have 7 in it or that end in 7. I am not going to color those ones in. Let's look at 8. I want to get 8 fingers. Pair, 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 pair. Yes, 8 is even. So I'm going to color those in. Any 8 numbers. There's one. There's one. Oh my goodness. There's another one. There's another one. Lots of 8s. So remember, those numbers that end in 8 are also even. Okay, I think I got all my 8s. Now I missed one. I missed any numbers that end in 0. Well, is 0 even or is it odd? Well, we don't have a lonely one out and we don't have a pair, right? So those numbers are also even because there isn't a lonely number out there. So they are also even. So I'm going to color any numbers that have a 0 ending in 0. I'm going to color those in too. I am starting to see a pattern here. What about you guys? Wow, what a cool pattern that I found here. So I'm noticing here that 2's, anything multiplied by 2 is even. Wow, and even up here, right? Anything multiplied by 2 is even. Anything multiplied by 4 is even. Oops, I missed one right here. Anything multiplied by 6 is even. Anything multiplied by 8 is even, right? And then I'm also noticing that the odd numbers that we found, which was 1, 3, 5, and 7, well, some of them have even numbers, and some of them have odd numbers. That's interesting. So like 1 times 1, 2 odd numbers multiplied together equal an odd number. And 1 times 2, well, we know that 2 is an even number. 1's an odd number, so 1 odd number times 1 even number equals an even number. Interesting. How about 2 even numbers? Oh, well, 2 even numbers, 2 and 2 are both even, right? They equal an even number. Interesting, right? Let's go do a harder one. 7 times 4. Well, 7's an odd number, right? It doesn't have a buddy. 4 does. That's an even number. When I come together, it ends up being an even number. Okay, let's do maybe 2 odd numbers. 7 times 7. 7 times 7 are both odd numbers. They always equal odd. Wow, what do you guys see as a pattern? Well, what I've figured out as I did this is that an even number times an even number always equals an even number. Always, always, always. An odd number times an odd number always equals an odd number. An even number times an odd number equals an even number. So this is what the big thing is in this. The big thing is that even numbers are more powerful. They are more powerful than odd numbers. So no matter what, if you're multiplying an even number by an odd number, it's always going to be even. Pretty cool, right? All right. So that was it. This is very similar to what you guys are going to be doing today, and that is finding a pattern in a multiplication table. Yours looks a little different though, a little different. And I want you guys to remember, if you need to come back to this video to see this part, right? To see this part, you can, okay? So you remember, an even times an even always equals an even, and odd times an odd always equals an odd, and even times an odd equals a even. So you guys are going to be doing page 103. So make sure you have an orange crayon. Hopefully you have an orange crayon at home, or a color pencil would be fine as well. If you don't have either of those, but you have a different color, that is fine too, as long as it's not black or white. Or something like really dark, try and make it a lighter color. So what you're gonna do is number one is write the product into each square as fast as you can. And it's okay if you don't wanna do it fast and you wanna take your time, that is okay with me. If you are doing this and you get stuck on one, you're like, oh no, I can't remember what 6 times 8 is. Go to your multiplication chart. See what 6 times 8. Practice it. It's 48. Okay, so take this out and it will help you. So you're gonna fill in each of these first. Okay, every single one. And then when you are done filling this in, this is when you are going to find a pattern. So yours is gonna actually look a little bit different than mine. So you're gonna color all the squares with even products orange. So remember, the product is a total. So 1 times 1, the product is 1. 2 times 1, the product is 2. Okay, so that's why I talked about factor times factor equals product. It's the total. So you're going to color in all of the even numbers, so make sure, is 1 odd or even? Well, it does not have a buddy, so we know it's odd. I'm not going to color that one in orange. 2 times 1. Oh, well, I know that those have buddies, and so 2 is even, so I will color that one in orange. Okay, and so on. So you're going to find the pattern. And then I need you to answer these 2 questions. Can an even product, remember product means total, can an even product ever have an odd factor? Remember, a factor is these. These are factors. 1 times 1. Can an even product ever have an odd factor? Let me know. Let me know what you think. And then you'll do A, you're going to do B. Can an odd product ever have an even factor? Okay. You are not going to do C or D. You may cross out. Then on the next page, you will have a table here on the side, okay? And you are going to fill in, you're going to label the products of each of these multiplication equations. So what's 1 times 1? Well, I have 1 square, so I know that that's 1. What's 2 times 2? Well, I have 2 squares now up here and 2 squares down here, so I know 2 rows of 2 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, and then so forth. Now I have 3 times 3. I have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and 3 in each row, and that equals what? And you'll keep going. Now you have 4 rows of 4, and 5 rows of 5, and 6 rows of 6, okay? So you will find the product of each of these, and then down here, you do not have to do these bottom parts right here, okay? I just want you to, it says to draw an array to match each expression in the table. So right here, they did the first 2 for you. Here is an array for 1 times 1. They drew 1 box. Here is an array for 2 times 2. So they did 2 rows of 2. And then you'll do the same thing for 3. So you'll do 3 rows of 3, okay? And 4, 5, and 6 times 6, okay? So that is it. Good luck with your homework and your independent work. And if you have any questions, my kiddos, you guys can come to the help group.